Hello and welcome to Fearless Friday. I'm Joyce Avrils of herrichlife.com, and I share topics on Fearless Friday to help you and to encourage you and to inspire you to live life fearlessly. Before we get into today's topic, I did want to remind you about my Path to Purpose workshop coming up. All right, this is going to be an experience. It's not just a workshop. There are going to be 4 days of teachings. There are going to be clarity calls that are going to be offered. There's going to be a special master class where I'm actually going to share with you my 5-step process, step by step, of how to discover your purpose if you don't know what it is. And there's going to also be lots of information for those who know your purpose, but you might not know how to live it. So go to herrichlife.com/path. And you can sign up. It's totally free. However, you do need to sign up. And like I said, it's going to be really great. It's going to be teaching. It's going to be an immersive experience. You're going to walk away with a game plan, a printed GPS for you if you want to go forward living your purpose in the months to come. And so please go ahead and sign up. Now, let's go ahead and talk about why it's not too late for your purpose. You know, I've had a lot of experience of talking with women who feel like, I've messed up. I've made some bad choices. I made some bad decisions. I've failed at so many things. I just don't believe that, I have a purpose. Or the one that I get most commonly is that things have gone so wrong for me. It's just too late. I just can't live it. I'm not going to be able to live my purpose. Well, I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told them. It's not too late. As long as you're still living, God has that plan for you, that plan of living your purpose and your calling. And I'm going to share with you today what you need to do about it. Because all of us, we've all made mistakes. We've all broken promises to ourselves. We've all, felt like failures at one time or another. But the truth is, you can learn from those mistakes. You can learn how to keep the promises you've made to yourself. And you can start believing that those failures does not make you a failure. There's a difference. There's a difference between failing at something and feeling like you're a failure. And so the thing is, when you understand this key point, when you understand that the mistakes, the broken promises, the wrong choices, the failures, all of it is an opportunity for you to learn. And you'll come to understand that it's those things that will help you in your process of discovering what your purpose is, as well as in helping you to live that purpose. Because when you get down to it, you're looking at, when it comes to your purpose, your calling, and your present assignment, it all comes down to, what God is telling you, the people that you feel called to, as well as the pain that you've gone through. All of those things will help you to figure out exactly what your purpose is. And you have to understand, there's not a success story out there that didn't include some kind of life-changing adversity. So many times we're living life, just going along, things are happening. And then all of a sudden we have this moment, this, epiphany, if you will. I can still remember mine, when I had mine, sitting at a desk listening to a woman explain to me why she was still living with this man who was beating her to death. And I asked her, what are you doing with your life? And the Holy Spirit whispered back to me, and what are you doing with yours? And it was at that time that I had a choice to make. And I had made some bad choices. I had made some mistakes, and I had had some failures. But that is a part of life. And that adversity is the thing that really prepares you for whatever it is that God's calling you to do. I remember a few years ago, I had this client, and she had flunked out of medical school, and she didn't know what to do next in her life. So she sought out a life coach, and we worked together. And she came from a family of doctors. I mean, dating back to her grandparents, her parents, her brother and sister, they were all doctors. And so you can just imagine how devastating it would be to go after that dream and then all of a sudden see it, go away. And so as we worked together, though, I started to see something. It became very clear to me that she was more upset about what her family would feel than she was about not being a doctor. And as time went on and we talked and worked together some more, it became very apparent that she believed that God gave her this gift of creativity that she had to do something that was going to make people happy. And so when we got down to, bare bones, what that was being an interior designer. That's what she always wanted to do deep down in her heart, but she never had the courage to admit that. And so she was able to finally admit it to herself. And because now medical school was no longer an option for her, she felt free to go and do that thing. But that wasn't the only thing that happened, because she also felt like the Lord was calling her to do something with children. And so she used her creative bent, if you will, the things that she loved about art and music and all those things, and she put it together and made a program for children who were recovering from being bullied at school. And she told me, she said, "Joyce, this is my calling. This is why I was here. This is my purpose. This is what I want to do." But if she had not flunked out of if she had not flunked out of medical school, would she have ever known that? Chances are she would eventually have learned it. But that was the pivotal moment for her when that happened, and she realized that thing that she really didn't want to do in the first place was no longer an option. And so, years later, she's still an interior designer, and she still has her program. So when it comes to doing that thing that God's called us to do, we often think that finding our purpose and our calling is a straight line. We think we can just go from A to B and it's straight, going across that way. But it's not. A lot of times getting from point A to point B, and A being, I don't know what my purpose is, and B being knowing what my purpose is, that line goes up and down, it goes around and around, it curves, there are all kinds of things that will happen. And you will have your hilltop experiences, but you will also have your valley experiences. Life is made up of highs and lows, and believe it or not, when it comes to your purpose, it's really those lows where you find your meaning and your significance and your joy. All right. And the thing about those failures, those mistakes, those broken promises, bad choices, they're not the thing that define you. They will help you to hone your purpose. So here's an example of what I mean. If you think back to Peter in the Bible, Peter denied Christ 3 times. And he had promised him, he said, "I would never do that. I would die before I would ever deny you, Lord." But that's exactly what he did. And when Peter realized, when that cock, crowed the 3rd time, and he realized that he had done exactly what Jesus said, he was devastated. He started crying and can you imagine? Talk about a point of adversity in your life, but that is exactly what happened. But I want you to think about Peter in the book of Acts. And that same Peter who denied Christ 3 times was the Peter who preached a sermon, and over 3,000 people were saved. You see, Jesus knew what Peter was going to do, but he also knew the man that Peter was going to be. And so I want you to tell yourself, every mistake, every failure you've had, Jesus knew about it. He knows that. But he doesn't see you as that. That does not define who you are to him. He sees you as that woman that you were created to be and that you can be. And it's going through that adversity and going through all of those things. Jesus forgave Peter. He forgives us as long as we go to him. And the important thing to remember about this, Peter didn't just give up. That is exactly what Judas did. Judas realized he made a big mistake. He just gave up and killed himself. Peter did not give up. He went ahead to do that thing that he was called to do. And so there is still time for your purpose. If you think you've messed things up too badly, no, that's not true. If you think, oh, you're too old, you waited too long, that is not true. As long as there is life in your body, you have time to live your purpose. Past mistakes, past failures, don't let them become bondages that hold you back from being that woman of God that you were created to be. It's really important to understand that. God's got work for you to do. There are people out there who need what you have to offer. And, we could be talking about people in your community, people in the world. We could be talking about people in your family. But you know that there's something that the Lord is calling you to do. And as long as you're alive, you have time to do it. So here's what I want you to do. First of all, I want you to accept whatever it was that happened. Whatever it is that's telling you, okay, it's too late for me. I can't live my purpose now. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what my calling is. I don't have an assignment, or I just messed up too bad. God can't use me. I want you to stop saying that. It's absolutely not true. That is bondage, and it's a trick of the enemy. He wants you to be disappointed in yourself. He wants you to feel despair, that there's no hope. And he wants you to just stay stuck in that place that you are. So stop saying that. The second thing is, ask yourself, what have you learned from those experiences? Whatever it was, whether it was a choice, an action, a mistake, a failure, whatever it was, what did you learn? Because those things are feedback. They are not determinative of who you are, but they are feedback. And once you've done that, I want you to stop and realize that all of that is a part of your success. Then the third thing I want you to do is to acknowledge that, yes, knowledge is power. Once you know all of that, that's great. But if you want a true transformation, if you want to get into action in living your purpose, then you have to do something with the knowledge that you've gained. So now that you know what those lessons were, I want you to go ahead and take action on them to live your purpose and to live your calling. And, you know, I'm a real pen to paper kind of gal when it comes to trying to figure out what my next steps are. I pray, and I even write out my prayers most of the time. But when it comes to things like this, when I ask you, you know, to do one, do number two, do number three, sometimes it does take some sitting down with pen and paper and write down, what lessons have I learned from all the bad choices, the mistakes, and the failures I've had in my life? Write them down. And on the other side of that, you know, you can put this in two columns. And on the other side of the column, what did I learn from each one of these? Now, Lord, show me how these lessons relate to the purpose that you have for my life, and this woman that you want me to be, this calling that you've given me, this assignment for this season. Show me, tell me, help me see what you want me to do with this. And I assure you, he will answer. You know, God believes that our prayers are so important that he holds them in a golden bowl. We see that in Revelations. And even though sometimes it seems like he doesn't answer right away, he does answer. Sometimes we have to be patient. Sometimes it takes actually getting into action for us to see what his answers are. But go ahead and pray about that, and pray over your list and ask the Lord to show you what to do next. So if you've been telling yourself it's too late for your purpose, no, it's not. It is not. I'm 63 years old. I'll be 64 in December. And my business hasn't been around for 10, 15 years. I started it just a few years ago. It'll be 5 years in May. And so there's still time for you. There's still time. Like I said, you're still living, you're still breathing. And so there's work that God wants you to do. And he's counting on you to be able to do that work. So before we end our session today, I did want to remind you to register, if you haven't already, for the Path to Purpose workshop. This workshop is going to be an immersive experience, and you're going to actually walk away with not fluff. I don't do fluff, but you're going to walk away with a game plan of what you need to do to live your purpose. And there's a special bonus that I haven't broadcast or advertised this, but there's a special bonus where I'm going to have a masterclass where I'm going to walk you through the 5 steps, my 5-step process that I've developed. You can't Google it, you won't find it there, of how to discover your purpose, and if you know your purpose, how to live it. And so you don't want to miss this. There are going to be some other surprises. There's also an opportunity for you to get some free coaching with me one-on-one. And so if you have not registered, go ahead and do that at herrichlife.com/path. And if you don't need the workshop, then please share it with others who might need it, because it's going to be a life-changing experience. I promise that. That is all I have for today. I want to thank you, Stephanie and Georgette, for being on live with me. And thank you for all the ladies who will be watching the replays. I am so blessed and honored to be able to do this on Fridays, to spend this time with you. So thank you for giving up your time to spend with me. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on next Friday. Bye for now.